The first poll is out. Joe Biden's anti-MAGA speech has backfired miserably. And the poll shows that most Americans think that it was a dangerous escalation, dangerous rhetoric, and is making things worse. I think it's obvious. When you look at the speech he gave last week where he attacked MAGA Republicans, he then came out the next day when asked by Peter Doocy about Trump supporters saying, I don't think any Trump supporter is a threat to this country. Seems like he's walking things back, or perhaps a more generous interpretation is that he only meant to talk about the members of Congress. Of course, there's people who vote for those members of Congress, which hold those ideas. So what really was Joe Biden talking about? He was talking about Trump supporters. And it seemed like he wanted to walk it back. Some people said the overnights on this must be atrocious for him to walk it back already. But yeah, people were shocked. And that picture of Joe Biden shaking his fists in the red background, that is not going to play over well. Feelings drive a lot of voters. You know, we want them to be fact-minded, but people are going to look at that photo and they're going to be like, yikes. So here it is. Among independent voters, Biden's approval rating is in the gutter. The Democrats have been chasing the Twitter demographic endlessly. You know, I talked about this quite a bit, that these Democrats are getting free run on Twitter without being censored or shut down. And that's actually going to backfire on them because it makes them look insane. When the left can say or do anything, they chase their own tails, and the right is constantly trying to make sure they're not getting banned. What happens? The Democratic Party chases after what they think is popular. Well, on Twitter, everybody hates Republicans and Trump supporters. That's what we're going to lean into and call them evil MAGA extremists. And then independent voters, they say, no way, this is nuts. Now we've got Newsweek saying Dark Brandon may be backfiring on Joe Biden. This whole idea that they're going to go after Trump supporters, it ain't working. And people are increasingly concerned that we may be heading towards a civil war. MSNBC actually said that. In one funny article, actually, a writer for The Guardian says, if there is going to be a civil war, I'm in really big trouble because I don't have food or guns. Yeah, about that. Many on the left have been cheering for these attacks on Donald Trump and his supporters, not realizing that they are calling for dramatic escalation. And when Joe Biden came out condemning MAGA Republicans and they cheered for it, you have to realize where that kind of rhetoric goes. To a dark place. Now, of course, this is all really bad news for Democrats in Congress because it's the midterm that's coming up. Joe Biden's not running for re-election right now. I mean, he kind of is, and these images will be used against him. They look bad. But Nancy Pelosi is apparently already planning her escape. She wants some ambassadorship, I think, with Italy in the event that the Democrats don't win the House. So what's one way to put it? The rats are jumping ship. Joe Biden and Democrats have pandered so hard, not really. It's not so much about the far left. It's about the ideological cult left, that regular people are probably just confused by what they're doing. I mean, come on. Child sex change operations? Okay, dude, I'll tell you this. All you got to do is ask somebody if they're like, well, I'm voting for Biden, be like, oh, do you support, one big issue for them is sex changes for children. I mean, is that something you support? No one's going to say yes to that. Framing, it's everything, I guess, right? But Democrats really are in favor of policies like this, which are so far outside of the norm that regular people, namely independents, are just like, I don't even know. I don't even know. And the crazy thing is, it's the younger demographic that hates Joe Biden the most. Seriously. I don't know how they feel about Donald Trump. Probably don't like him either. But it's interesting to see that 18 to 34 is the demographic with the highest disapproval for Joe Biden. You'd think it would have been 65 plus, but no. I think the style that Joe Biden brings panders well to these old school, older types who are okay with the uniparty establishment and just get their news from the corporate press. But let's take a look at these polls. And let's talk about where we go in the event there is a civil war. Crime is skyrocketing. Police are resigning. Regular people are taking out loans to buy groceries. And Joe Biden is blaming Trump. Amazing. Before we get started, my friends, head over to timcast.com to become a member and help support our work. As a member, you'll get access to the Timcast IRL after show. Uncensored content Monday through Thursday at 11 p.m. Of course, we didn't have anything yesterday. It was Labor Day. And you can check out the Cast Castle vlog, Tales from the Inverted World, Pop Culture Crisis, all of our shows, and our new music from Timcast Records. With your support, we will be building culture expanding this operation and making more cool stuff. Smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show with your friends. Let's read this story from the Post-Millennial. Majority of Americans say Biden's anti-MAGA speech was designed to incite conflict. A new poll has revealed that a majority of Americans say that Biden's primetime speech delivered last week in Philadelphia before a blood red backdrop was, quote, a threat to this country, quote, a dangerous escalation, and, quote, designed to incite conflict. Wow. The poll conducted by the Trafalgar Group for the Convention of States Action found that 56.8% of likely general election voters said that Biden's speech, in which he designated MAGA Republicans extremists, represents a dangerous escalation in rhetoric and is designed to incite conflict among Americans. 35.5% of Americans said the speech is acceptable campaign messaging that is expected in an election year. It's a midterm, dude. Split by political party. Democrats were more likely to see the speech as acceptable, while Republicans and independents said the speech was a dangerous escalation. 70.8% of Democrats said that the speech was acceptable campaign messaging, while 18.7% said that it was designed to incite conflict. A vast majority of Republicans, 89.1%, said that Biden's speech represents a dangerous escalation, with just 4.7% saying it was acceptable and 6.2% saying they weren't sure. 62.4% of independent voters said the speech was a dangerous escalation, while 31.2% said it was acceptable. And you know what? That really breaks down to where we see the leaning. That's probably lean Democrat and lean Republican. Of independent voters, I would be willing to bet 2-1 they're leaning Republican. The poll was conducted between September 2nd and 5th of 1,084 likely U.S. general election voters. It's a decent sample size. It's not super fantastic, but it's a good amount. Quote, these numbers reveal that most voters were sickened and deeply disturbed by what they saw last week. When you couple this finding with previous polling we did indicating a majority of voters also hold President Biden responsible for America's divisions, it's clear that the man who promised to unite the nation has become the most divisive president in American history, said Mark Meckler, president of the Convention of States. When voters tell you they think that the prepared remarks of a sitting president of the U.S. is a dangerous escalation and was designed to incite conflict, we are living in terrifying times. Perhaps even more terrifying is the fact that a huge majority of Democrats think this was just a routine election year stump speech. Man, no, it's scary. I mean, this is the point at which we ask ourselves, are we safe in our own country? Joe Biden targeting 74 million people as dangerous extremists. And he says, I'm talking about there's mainstream Republicans. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Adam Kinzinger, Liz Cheney, come on. They don't vote for Trump. They don't vote for these guys. When you talk about MAGA Republicans, you're talking about the people who vote for them. Quote, this is the tyranny the founders of America foresaw. And it's why they included an emergency provision in Article 5 that empowers the states to rein in an out-of-control federal government. A convention of states needs to happen, and urgently. I agree. In Biden's speech delivered in front of Independence Hall, where the Declaration of Independence was written in 1776, he declared that as I stand here tonight, equality and democracy are under assault. Donald Trump and the MAGA, he said MAGA Republicans, MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic. Biden said Biden said that his duty as president to, quote, tell you the truth, stating that MAGA Republicans do not respect the Constitution. They do not believe in the rule of law. They do not recognize the will of the people. They refuse to accept the results of a free election. MAGA Republicans have made their choice. They embrace anger. They thrive on chaos. They live not in the light of truth, but in the shadow of lies, he said. Man, dark days indeed, I suppose, is the only way to say it. This is truly a deeply corrupt man. I think Joe Biden abused his son. I think Joe Biden is a pedophile. I'll say it. I mean, there's images of him sniffing and groping children. Fact. You look at the strange problems that Hunter Biden is experiencing, and you have to wonder what happened to this man in his developmental years that made him this way. Some people have pointed to his brother as an upstanding guy, but, you know, some people take trauma to a dark place. Some people overcome it. I don't know. I think based on the things we've heard about with the Biden family, I think he's a deeply corrupt and abusive man. Hands down. Now, it's funny because you get this dichotomy. You get the left being like, which is it, right? Is Joe Biden an evil dictator or is he a bumbling idiot? It's like, bro, you can be both. You know, like you said the same thing about Trump. And that was the gag. It was like, is he too stupid or is he a conniving evil man? Joe Biden, he used to be a sharp evil man. Now he is a dim-witted evil man. Still dangerous, just not all with it. Take a look at this. Interactive Polls 2020 says, Biden approval rating among independents hits new low. From YouGov data, 26.7% approval among independents, 64.1% disapproval, with 2,502 registered voters. That's insane. That's a large sample size. And this is crazy. The Democrats have gone so hard after their base, they are ostracizing half the country, more than half. Here we go. Biden rejects criticisms that he's dividing Americans by calling Trump supporters a threat to democracy. There it is right there. He can come out and say whatever he wants to say. I'm not talking about Trump supporters, but that is how it is widely interpreted. President Joe Biden dismissed criticisms Monday that he is vilifying Republicans by calling former President Donald Trump supporters extremists. I'm going to be very clear up front. Not every Republican is a MAGA Republican. Not every Republican embraces that extreme ideology. Extreme? What's extreme about saying things like we should protect workers and the people and secure our borders? That's extreme? That's crazy. Joe Biden is so extreme, he thinks moderate policy is extreme. That's the reality. He's pandering, and it's clear in the polls, man. Look, it's true. Let's put it this way. We are looking at strange times where we're starting to realize without a unified culture, everyone's going to say you're extreme or you're extreme. The left calls me right wing, but the right calls me left wing. And that's the perfect example. The worldview is shattered. And I think the left has gone so far left so fast that they live in a parallel reality. They think they're right. And thus, regular people, moderates, Republicans, they're now right wing, extremists to the left, when in the reality is to us, they're the extreme ones. But you can understand this. If Biden and the Democrat camp wins, then yeah, the moderates and the Republicans will be. History is written by the victors. Take a look at this from Civics polling, 245,801 responses over about a year and a half. Do you approve or disapprove of the way Joe Biden is handling his job as president? Right now, Civics has his approval rating at 39% to 53% disapproval. Let's play a game. Republicans. Unsurprisingly, 96% disapproval in the Republican Party with only 3% approval. That's got to be a margin of error. I can't imagine a Republican actually approving of Joe Biden. But if this is what Joe Biden means by not every Republican is a MAGA Republican, you talking about that 3% margin of error, buddy? Yeah, okay. I don't think that's a good number to go by. Democrats, 79% approval, 10% disapproval, 12% don't know. When Joe Biden started, his approval rating among Democrats was 91%. It's 79 now, and its lowest point was 65. Yikes. Here's where it gets crazy. Among independent voters, 29% approval. 2-1. Independents do not like Joe Biden. Now, his lowest point was 18%. That's bad. 4-1. That's nuts. So it's improved. 3-1. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry, 2-1. For every 3 people, 2 of them will likely not like Joe Biden. But let's do something interesting. You know what I expected to see? I expected to see 65-year-olds really hating Joe Biden. And they do. 53% disapproval. But it's been around where it's always been around. Older people being more conservative. So let's go down to 50-64. Well, the younger you get, disapproval actually goes down to 53, approval to 42. 35-49, even better for Biden. 40% approval, 51% disapprove. Certainly among the youth demographic, Joe Biden must be doing very well. Actually, his disapproval is higher and his approval is lower. Among 65 plus, he has 53% disapproval and 43% approval. Among 18 to 34, it's 54 disapprove and only 32 approve. Wow. I did not expect that. Now I'm curious. Among 18 to 34-year-old Democrats, where do they stand? They really don't like him. 61% approval rating and about a 20% neither approve or disapprove and a 19% disapprove. Young Republicans, yeah, of course they don't like him. Young independent voters, this is big. 18% approval. This is what Joe Biden is not understanding. This is what Democrats are not understanding. This is our demographic. This is you and me right now. We are 18. Okay, to be fair, I'm 36. The majority of our viewers, though, are 18 to 35 of the viewers here. So you guys are probably like a 30-year-old dude named Bill or something. John, you're 30, John. It's time to vote right. Right now, there's a whole bunch of 30-year-old Johns going, that's me. This is it right here. 18 to 34-year-olds, 18% approval. Let's move up. I'm willing to bet among 35 to 49-year-olds, it improves a little bit. And sure enough, it does to 29%. 50 to 64, I bet it's going to improve again. 65 plus, improve. Okay, it went down a little bit. The amazing thing here is the shift in demographic and what this means. What do you think this means for people who are 17 years old right now? The younger generation of moderates and Republicans are going to reject the establishment. This is big. Says a lot for our future. And even among Democrats, young people don't like Joe Biden. They're probably more likely pro-socialist, so we'll see. From Forbes, destroying democracy. Biden doubles down on MAGA Republican criticism in Labor Day speech. Oh, so not only has he rejected the criticisms, he's doubling down on it. Good job, Joe Biden. Good job. The LA Times. Oh, thank you, guys. Robin Ebkarian. Boo-hoo. Fascist MAGA Republicans are miffed at being called out by President Biden. Okay, dude. Take it. I don't care. I just showed the polls. Young, moderate voters are rejecting Joe Biden outright. The Democrats are in serious trouble if young people come out and vote. That's crazy. Young Democrats don't like Democrats. Young independents don't like Joe Biden. And young Republicans certainly don't. So across the board, the youth vote is going to oust the Democrats. Or maybe you'll end up seeing people like AOC get in. I don't know. We'll see. But look at this. They're gloating. They're reveling in it. They have no idea. They are burning themselves to the ground. President Biden made a simple but brilliant distinction Thursday evening in Philadelphia when he spoke passionately about two species of Republicans in America today. Mainstream and MAGA. Okay. 97% of all Republicans do not like Joe Biden. So who was Joe Biden talking to? I imagine that even if you weren't a big fan of Trump, when Joe Biden comes out and you don't like him, and he says this, you're probably like, okay, now this dude's, I don't like him. 74 million people voted for Donald Trump. It's time to realize the mistakes you've made. Dark Brandon poses dilemma for Democrats as Biden seeks re-election. Aw. They wanted to play the Dark Brandon meme thinking it'll work. Sorry, dude, it doesn't. Dark MAGA works because you had the intelligence agencies and the media go after Trump and now people want revenge. Dark MAGA works because Donald Trump's kind of a scary guy. He's kind of crazy. We're all kind of worried that he might press the red button on his desk that apparently summoned a Diet Coke. That's apparently what it did. I don't know if that's true. That's what I was told. It's just what I was told. You know, we had someone on IRL told us that Trump had a red button and he pressed it and then someone walks in with a Diet Coke. Nasty. I don't like that stuff. I just drink water. Anyway, for Joe Biden, it doesn't work when you're a bumbling old plagiarist. Doesn't come out well. But this is what's happening. That's what they went with. Here we go from Reuters. It would be unfair if when I come out and show the polls have improved for Joe Biden. I think it's important you know that. But I think it's also important that only a few days ago, we actually saw his polls start to take a turn. Reuters reports Biden approval falls, holding near low end of his presidency. They say U.S. President Joe Biden's public approval rating fell modestly this week, a poor sign for Democrat Party hopes in the midterms. While Biden's approval rating hit 41 last week, it's been mostly below 40 since mid-June, despite a string of Democratic legislative victories that Biden's allies hope will help them defend their narrow congressional majorities in November. Now, it's been about a week since this article came out. Biden has been improving, but it's not like it's a straight trajectory upward. There's been ups and downs. I think it's something that's important to actually point out. I'll tell you what else is important to point out. This image right here. President Joe Biden made his third trip to Pennsylvania this week to campaign for Democratic Senate candidate Lieutenant Governor John Fetterman. I got to tell you, man, Dr. Oz, it is an abysmal campaign. John Fetterman actually is appealing to people. I don't care. People come out and they make fun of the guy. They say he had a stroke. And I'm like, dude, you're not doing yourselves any favors. John Fetterman, while some of how his attitude to me, I find kind of annoying, I actually find his approach to this is way better. He's going after people's feelings and relatability. Oz is not relatable. A suit-wearing dude from New Jersey who comes in to make crudité, that's a really bad play. And Fetterman, of course, is playing into it. However, I'm not here to talk about Fetterman and Oz because I don't like the Democrats, but I got to tell you, Fetterman seems to come off way better in his campaign ads. The Daily Mail says, pitifully small crowd of union workers rock up to support President Biden's Labor Day speech. Yeah, nobody cares. Look at this. And they know no one's coming. They know nobody cares about this guy. Joe Biden wins because people hate Trump. That's all that matters. So when you see the inverse, and this is important, people, this massive crowd of people cheering for Trump, what you're not seeing is the anti-Trump crowd. Nobody cares about Joe Biden's speeches. What does he have to offer? The media radicalized people. You either like Trump or you hate Trump. People who hate Trump show up and protest in the streets and smash windows. That's indicative of something, not Joe Biden's speech. So we will see. I don't think these are good indicators. People look at this stadium that's filled with people, thousands of people, and they're like, Donald Trump is the best president. Nobody even shows up for Joe Biden. It's like, yes, but will they vote against Trump? That's the question. I think in the midterms, this is something important. And I think when it comes to the 2024 election or 2020 or whatever, you shouldn't look at crowd size and think that's indicative of what's going to happen because you can't see the media and the impact it has on people. Of course, nobody liked Biden. In 2024, I don't know what we'll get from this. But right now, what is important is that Joe Biden needs to be able to muster support for congressional candidates. If nobody cares what he has to say, nobody's voting against anything. And that's why Joe Biden is going for Dark Brandon. It's why he's blaming and attacking MAGA. They need you to hate, to fear. They need to remind everyone why you need them. You get the point. V for Vendetta reference for those that get it. Joe Biden coming out and screaming about MAGA is because the only thing that actually beats populism is hatred. When Donald Trump comes out and says, we're gonna bring back jobs and get good manufacturing for our country, people cheer for it. Why wouldn't you? When Joe Biden comes out and he goes, come on, man, we need to, our borders are porous and we're sending factories overseas and we're going to keep doing it. People are going to be like, yo, dude, yeah, I don't want that. Like, that's a bad thing. Joe Biden, Barack Obama, the TPP, all that other garbage they were pushing. So what do they need? Hatred and fear. And that's what they're campaigning on. Quite literally, what you are getting right now with Joe Biden's anti-MAGA speech that some say is inciting civil war and inciting conflict is him coming out right now and saying, I want you to remember why you need us. Come on, man. Because MAGA. Now, no one cares for Joe Biden. They're not going to come out for him, but they will come out if they're scared of Donald Trump. And so that's what they're trying to do. But I think things are looking good for Republicans, to be completely honest, as exemplified by this. Pelosi seeks ambassadorship to Italy if GOP wins House majority in midterms. Yeah, that's called retirement, Nancy. Biden has not yet nominated an ambassador to Italy since entering the White House. Sources tell Fox Business that Pelosi wants Biden to nominate her to become the next U.S. ambassador to Italy. Biden is holding the spot for the speaker, sources say, which is one reason he has yet to fill the position since taking office. Speculation earlier this year that a Pelosi ally and former Wall Street executive wanted the job has shifted with the increasing likelihood that the GOP takes the majority. There was no clarity yet on how a new Senate will react to a Pelosi nomination, but there was a mixed reaction to her in the role from sources this week. Interesting. I think this suggests they're expecting to lose. The fact that Joe Biden did not fill this position, holding it for Pelosi, suggests she is out. But what'll happen? I mean, she's running, right? If she doesn't get the House majority, she's going to resign her position. Then who takes her seat from San Francisco? That will be very interesting. In the meantime, it seems like they're pulling out all the stops and civil war may be on the horizon. Alan Dershowitz sees sufficient evidence to indict Trump in affidavit. This is from about 2 weeks ago. Alan Dershowitz said there was currently enough evidence to indict former President Trump based on the reading of the highly redacted FBI affidavit. Quote, any grand jury in D.C. would indict Trump on the evidence that he had classified material in violation of various statutes. The Harvard law professor cited the failure of the probe to meet what he called the Nixon and Clinton tests. The former being the need to establish broad bipartisan support, and the latter being a demonstration that Trump's conduct is materially worse than Hillary Clinton's own past mishandling of classified information. Getting a search warrant is easy to do, and a grand jury will indict a ham sandwich, so that is why we need prosecutorial discretion. Dershowitz said public anger should be directed not at a Judge Reinhardt for signing off on the search, but rather Attorney General Merrick Garland for seeking the warrant in the first place. Something interesting came out in a viral tweet claiming that Joe Biden ordered the raid on Trump. The left came out and said the documents say no such thing. The right says it does. Well, it's a little complicated. Basically, this document said, and I haven't pulled it up, but just to break down this tweet, it said that on May 12th, the National Archives informed the incumbent. They informed the FBI they would be sharing the documents with them as per the incumbent president's request or something like that. And then people on the right said that means Biden ordered the raid. The left said no, it doesn't. Okay, it kind of does. Here's what happens. Donald Trump has got documents. He's got, some boxes that may have documents. They say, we want those boxes. Trump shares them with the archives. The archives then gets a request from the president. I want to see what's in these boxes. He gets them. The FBI then decides to raid Donald Trump. The speculation at that point then is Biden requested the documents. The FBI said, we are going to have to raid his home to get whatever documents he may have. Does that mean that Joe Biden came in and said, come on, man, we're going to take him down. We're going after my political rival. No. But it does hint at that. And I suppose the issue then comes down to who do you trust? The Trump supporters and people on the right aren't going to believe that Joe Biden didn't know this. They, of course, believe he did. And he claims he didn't. But the White House did know about the raid. And considering they knew about the raid and requested to see these documents, the only way they could be obtained is by raiding Trump's compound. That's the implication. But we'll tread carefully. We've got to, they'll make the argument that he was simply saying, show me what you've already gotten. Fine. Fair point. I just don't trust them. But an indictment of Donald Trump would be a scary thing. I love this. From today, The Guardian, September 6th. No doomsday bunker, not a single gun. If the U.S. really is heading for civil war, I'm stuffed. You're stuffed? Do you mean effed? I guess you could put screwed, I guess. Arva Madawi writes, the super rich are preparing to rot at the apocalypse by their underground swimming pools. Ordinary Americans have bought another 20 million firearms, and me, I bought a broom and a butter knife. Yo, what? Come on, lady. How long do you think you would survive if everything went to hell? Civil war erupted, institutions crumbled, and there was absolutely nowhere safe in the world left to run. Me, I'd give myself 1 week, maybe 2. Lady, I agree with you. Me? I gotta be honest. I'd do all right. I think I would live a long, stressful, and unhealthy life. I'm not going to sit here and claim like if all hell broke loose, I'm going to live in comfort and luxury. Nah, it'll be tough. But I've got emergency food. I have secure locations. I have all-terrain vehicles. The way I plan for things is not like build the bunker and fill it with beans, buy the guns, the world's ending. It's more like, hey, what could I use? So, magnifying glass is really great. Yeah, for real. You got any magnifying glasses? It's really great. You want to talk about starting a fire in the middle of nowhere. You can do the sticks with the twine and stuff like that. I'm sure a lot of people know how to do that. Magnifying glass makes it really easy. Kindling and a magnifying glass, and it's that simple. Put it in your pocket, you keep it, good to go. You could even use a bottle of water. That's crazy. Yeah, you can use a bottle of water, set a fire. Yeah, you focus light through the bottle of water, things like that. But in terms of the food that we have, we eat it. So it's food, you know what I mean? You have it, you eat it. Guns are important for self-defense. All-terrain vehicles, it's fun to go Jeep around and off-road and stuff like that. But in the event of a real problem, we got land out in the middle of nowhere. Why? Because it's fun to go vacation. No, for real, like to drive out into a plot of land where you got stuff, you can just chill out and take a look at the stars. It's fantastic. And all of that stuff, in the event of an apocalypse, you're going to do all right. This lady, she'll probably get eaten. I'm not even trying to be crass or anything. She says, I would like to think that I'm a tough survivor type. Yeah, nice try, lady. I'm not even qualified to call myself a tough survivor type. I'm a dude who just recently moved to the middle of nowhere. Granted, I've been in conflict, so I probably would learn quickly and do all right for myself, but I ain't got nothing on a random country bumpkin that raises chickens. I'm like, any average random country person would survive better than me. And that's why I say unhealthy lifestyle. I'll be, not doing too well, but I'll be doing well enough. Dude who lives out in the sticks on his farm is going to be completely fine and not see any changes to his lifestyle. Me, I will. But we'll figure stuff out. I'm a bit resourceful and adaptive. This lady, however, a week? I think you're right. She says, I would like to think that I'm a tough survivor type, but the last time I went camping, I forgot to bring a sleeping bag and I sobbed myself to sleep. What? So on balance, I would have to admit that I'm not. I did have a brief period this year when in a fit of madness, I thought I'd take up urban farming and become as self-sufficient as possible. That's cool. With a scrap of garden in Philly. That seemed to go well until I proudly sent my mom a photo of all those luscious berry bushes I had cultivated, and she informed me that they were poisonous weeds and I should get rid of them immediately. Oh, no. Oh, man. I bring it all up because, look around you. Things are not great. In the UK, the cost of living crisis becomes so extreme that ITVs this morning offered viewers the chance to get their energy bills paid on its spin the wheel segment. Oh, man. To be fair, few places are. More than 80% of countries are experiencing inflation above 6%, leading to an unprecedented rise in civil unrest around the world. Keep going. Keep going. Where do you think you're headed? While billionaires are buying bunkers, the rest of the U.S. seems to be buying ballistics. Firearm sales have skyrocketed since the pandemic. Americans bought almost 20 million guns last year, which is down from 2020's record-breaking 22.8 million sales, but still incredibly alarming. I'm about as anti-gun as you can get, but lately I've found myself wondering if I should maybe learn how to shoot. After all, I don't really rate my chances of surviving civil unrest in gun nut America around, armed with only a broom, a butter knife, and a garden full of poisonous berries. Hey, you're starting to figure it out, lady. I gotta tell you, man, you know, conservatives have an advantage here because y'all like guns to begin with. Liberals like guns to a very, very tiny degree, and leftists like guns. Conservatives are more likely to live in rural areas where they have well water. Many have electricity off the grid. And at the very least, know how to survive. Know what they can eat outside. I know pawpaw season's coming up in about a month. Yo, you properly you preserve those pawpaws, you got food for months. Dude, let me just tell you. You don't want to live off them. They're delicious. They really are great. They're, I think it's like mango, banana, and avocado combined. That's what it's like. Big seeds. Kind of hard to cultivate because they're pollinated by flies and beetles. Blech. But I remember last year, it was our first pawpaw season, and we saw some. And I was like, you know, I hear they're hard to come by. And then we only saw a few, and I was like, well, maybe we'll get to try them. And then when pawpaw season came around, what we didn't realize is that like almost every single tree is a pawpaw tree. And there were so many, they were hitting you in the head. And we probably had like 50 pounds of, if you just went around and picked up the ones that were fresh and ready to eat, it's just like, it's insane amount of pawpaw. We made bread. We ate some. We didn't really preserve them because we didn't really care. It's starchy. I don't want to eat that stuff, you know, but if I had to. The fact is, you'll learn how to survive out here a little bit. With chickens, with a garden, I was getting maybe like 5 to 10% of my food from my own sourcing. For breakfast every day, I have eggs from my own chickens. That's right. And we got too many chickens now because they make more of themselves. Isn't that shocking? And then you eat the boys. We don't want to waste. They eat crickets, turn the crickets into chicken. We eat the chicken. Chicken tastes better. This lady, she couldn't tell you the first thing about chickens. I couldn't tell you the first thing about goats. I'm not going to sit here and pretend I'm doing all that much better than her, but more than enough, right? My point is, I'm not going to pretend I'm going to be better off than any other Trump supporter in a conservative area that knows how to survive, but this lady's in serious trouble. I at least got out and started trying to learn. These people are finally starting to realize, yeah, they're going to be in trouble. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 8 p.m. tonight over at youtube.com/TimCastIRL. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.